Now, Professor Meshkat Chowdhury sir will tell us about an experience on structured echocardiographic learning. An experience on structured echocardiographic learning.
Respected chairperson and the distinguished discussants and the audience, I'm the last man standing today. And I'm probably the least person because my presentation is going to be a very ordinary one. And it is not naturally started with many knowledges. But I tried to put down some simple thing in my own way when we learn something about echocardiography. Please carefully look at this module. This module was based on the echocardiographic model for use of knob for optimum image acquisition. So when we say that we are going to have structured learning, there should be some intended outcome of the learning. That is, at the end of this module, the student and the learner should be able to perform the echocardiographic acquisition by using the knob. That is what he needs to learn. That is how the student should learn. That is how, at every stage of the learning, he is able to do what we want them to do. So this is a serious concern. This is a serious concern on part of the country, on BSMMU, and we are on fire on this module. This is just an pilot project, and here I'm going to show you the second step then that we need to know is how to learn that, and finally, how do you know that you have learned that? That is the assessment. So how we wanted them to learn. At the center, you can see there should be need for one. Every person interested in echocardiography, especially the echocardiographer, are interested in doing imaging. They try to use the knobs so that they bring a good picture. That interest is there, that we know. And on the top of that, we put some preliminary assessment question. Those questions evoked interest in them, and they were interested in knowing about those terms. Although this term may be very familiar to you, but for the beginner, some of these terms were not that familiar to them. So probably they will get some interest in those terms, and they will try to learn and execute those terms. So how we started? So among our first assessment, this is what known as assessment as learning. This is assessment, but this is part of learning as well. By looking at this question, you are also going to learn something if you have not learned this thing before. So this was about the depth. This is a very basic thing to start with echocardiographic imaging. You get the image in the screen, and you need to increase the size or decrease the size, and you need to know how much you are going to increase and how much you are going to decrease. And you need to know, by increasing the size, you are also going to get the increased frame rate, which will increase the temporal resolution. So I have used three terms, you see, the depth, the temporal resolution, and the frame rate. So if it is not familiar with you, then you got to know about all these things, what these things all are about. That is how we started doing all these things. And the second question that we made was about the frame rate. And you see, if you narrow the sector, we know it increases the frame rate, and it is really useful for temporal resolution. Temporal resolution is the one when we see the moving object. So the moving increase the temporal resolution, also examine the rapidly moving object. This is all the same that you know what temporal resolution is, and by whether the frame rate is only required in 2D and 3D echocardiography. But we know frame rate is very essential in 2D strain imaging, and in three-dimensional echocardiography, it is compromised by line density. At the same time, after putting all this question, we arrange the echocardiographic machine so that our students learn by their own. And we supplied some videos, some selected videos, some paper to them so that they can look at all this video and they can do all this knowledge by their own. And finally, if you go back to the module, after doing, the learner try to understand whether this learning is meaningful to them. They try to sense out that whether they have really learned to achieve the competency that we want them to have. That is, whether they can produce a fine image. So finally, after realizing and making sense, we had a feedback system. Feedback, the majority of the feedback comes from the colleague, from the peers, from the student that they worked through all these videos. So we also sat together. You can see Dr. Khaled. He's a very enthusiastic colleague. He was there. I was there as a student, as a matter of fact, and I learned so many things on that occasion from my students. So finally, they were asked to, in the final assessment, they were asked to produce some videos. And we opened a Telegram link and where they uploaded their videos. So let me show you what I have learned from them and what they have learned. And I want to show you, and I want to make you the judgment whether by doing this, they have really learned the thing what we have intended to learn from them. So in this, actually, there was a voice here. I cannot produce that voice. Actually, we really cannot see the interventricular septum and the posterior wall much. We really cannot make a clear comment about the posterior lateral wall. By increasing the depth, you will see later that the visualization of the septum and the visualization of the posterior wall is improved. Here he is increasing the depth. By increasing the depth, there is increase in temporal resolution. So, wall motion as a moving object, you can better visualize the septal motion and the motion in the posterior inferior wall. There are subtle changes, alpo change. But if you are very careful, you'll understand there are some improvement in understanding all these changes. So we also had a question on compression. We rarely use this knob, actually, compression. It is said there, and really we need to manipulate that compression. But I found in this module that it is little useful when we want to see the grayscale things. The myocardium itself is a grayscale. We can, by manipulating the compression, we can increase the grayscale, and we can see the myocardium better than previous one. So next slide, our student showed us how grayscale really enhance the visualization of the myocardium. You look very carefully before compression and after compression of anteroseptal wall. There are certainly some increase in grayness in the walls that will help you understanding the motion. Initially, we could not appreciate much motion in the posterolateral wall, but with increasing of the compression, by increasing the grayscale, we now can visualize better the wall motion. So next, we move to a question on colorization. I thought it is a fancy work. It just increases the beautiness of the images. But I found really color makes matter. To me, maybe yellow color, I can perceive image better, but for Shakil, it may be the gray color that makes you. And it is interesting that our students are showing you, you will find out that different shade makes difference in perception of the image. Let me show you. Unfortunately, the video, you would have enjoyed the video, the version that they made. These are the color scale. you please carefully look at the changes that make changes in the myocardium as well. Please concentrate on the posterior and the anteroseptal wall. With each changes of the color, you will find some difference. To him, he found that the anteroseptal wall was much more visualized to him with changing the color. I found the grayscale in between that was very attractive to me, as a matter of fact. So our next question was on focus. Focus is important because it increases the lateral resolution. So new term, lateral resolution. If we can distinguish between 2 points which lies lateral to each other, can be well visualized with focus. So here also he has shown us, he has moved the focal line, and if you are really careful, you will appreciate that with changing the focus, he was able to show the anteroseptal wall even much more better than before. Here you can see the focus line is at the level of anteroseptal wall, and it's pretty smart to me. And also the zooming and gain adjustment. So we have new term as zoom. Actually, zoom is used for measurement. It has not much, it brings not much change in resolution or other things. But zoom also make you focus on a particular point that may make you understanding the image better. Otherwise, zoom is only to show the thing as a big one. Although there is increased frame rate in zooming, but there is no changes in the frequency. So this is video made by our other student. Auto gain was set by him. He was not happy with the auto gain. He manually operated his gain, overall gain, and he found it to be little better. And finally, since he could not visualize the apex, you can see the apex is not that good visualized, he started moving his time compensated gain. Here now he's moving the time compensated gain. Now you can see the apex very well, isn't it? Then actually thereafter he moved to the zoom to see the apex better. So after producing all these videos, our faculty also gave some feedback, and our faculty said, why you increase the zoom to visualize the apex? You could increase the depth, you could decrease the depth, so you could visualize that better. And there were other feedback that really helped them to learn. There was also a question about harmonic imaging. I found this video of my student was pretty learning to me, because every echocardiographic machine has got harmonic imaging. Harmonic imaging means you are putting insinuating frequency in certain frequency which is higher, but in second harmony you are receiving in different frequency, so the noise ratio is much less. So there are clear picture, you can see clear picture. But the problem with the harmonic system is when you are going to look at the valves are thick and are not it. You can see the aortic valve is thick, enteromeatrial leaflet is thick. And if you really want to know about the thickness of these valves, you have to really put off the harmonic. Here, he has reduced the harmonic. You can see now it is not thick one. Can you see it? And thereafter, he again increased the gain to get a good picture of that. Finally, sweep speed was shown by one of our students. Sweep speed was manipulated to see the effect of. Sweep speed was used to see the effect of respiration on mitral inflow flow. I'm not going to show you much. This is our final slide about which actually our student did not produce. These are the knobs are used. Which of the following knobs are not really used for color? This question was there. It was not answered well. So we made a comment. At the bottom of the comment you can see, I said at the times, images are as beautiful as it makers. I wish I could see you the photograph of our student with Punjabi. He is a foreign student. He was looking so smart, so fine, so beautiful as his images. At the times, students make their teachers a winner. I don't know whether I'm a winner, my students have made me winner or not. But I was really very shaky about producing this video. But probably this is the way we can learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for finishing it in time.